True.
Smells like pig up in here, apparently. I don't know if I agree with that.
Are we really just dry? We're kicking that can down the road here?
Dude, that was so funny, man. I can't. Kalista, first pick. Finally, we get to see this champion. It's been let through a couple of times here, so Pays and Missing, they have been some strong duos, but think about the supports that are already gone. There's no Kalista Nico. Yeah. There's no, I mean, you can't play Kalista Rel, but I think it's a bit tough here.
I mean, Varus making it all the way through here is actually pretty huge. I know priorities have changed on Varus to some extent, but still very powerful ADC with a lot of utility in it. I'm just wondering, like, I know it's getting ahead of myself a little bit, but what Game 5 looks like in terms of what Light and Pays are going to play here. But we'll cover Game 4 first and see what exactly happens here. I wonder what the double lock-in is going to be for Weibo, if they do just want to secure their bot lane, or if they want to try to go for some power picks for the solo lane and jungle.
I think that the jungles right now are just so contested. When you talk about the AD junglers, since Ao and Vi already taken, the Pantheon that we already saw, especially with the Nocturne. If Sean really wants to, I think Viego could work here.
True.
Against Wukong. I don't think you really want to be playing someone like a Kindred, so I don't think we're going to be getting that pocket pick for them. This has to be the pair, because if you're not going for the Renata, you're going for the Rel, and while Rel can have some added utility against something like a against the Wukong, just means that the engage is going to have to come from somewhere either in the jungle or maybe even top lane here for Ala.
Yeah. You're going to have a lot of counter engage, but you definitely want to have a little bit of the other end of things too. Getting to the final pick, though, for JDG in this first phase, at least, I think Blue Side has been very kind to them, at least in terms of what they've been able to get. The Kennen locked in here, an Ala classic.
Okay, Breeze, what do you got left? I mean, typically what people are going to... I mean, look, what other champions... He can't play Camille, right? That's typically, I think, the most common answer that we see. Maybe you play Aatrox into it, but that sounds real miserable. And we haven't really seen anybody coming out from the side of Weibo that I think particularly deals with this Kennen very well. So as we get into the back end of this draft, I'm going to be looking for champions in particular that are able to handle this champion or maybe some way disrupt the game plan coming in from JDG.
I really like the Wombo combos they're setting up for right now, though. A lot of big entrances if you can find the angles, which we know Ala can. The Silas ban in the second phase right now by Weibo gives a little bit more priority of what they're looking at, and it's that mid lane to try to take away some pieces from Scout. The Malphite ban, fourth ban for JDG. I love that one.
Okay. And what I think I would like to see from JDG is you do have a lot of damage. You look at what Weibo are going for. They have some range with this Varus, but are otherwise going to be pretty straightforward in their team fighting. I think that Missing and Ala on this Kennen and Renata are going to have so much additional value. Sorry, Bradley. Maybe if we get a Game 5, we can get Game 5 Sejuani, but...
The
second ban here.
Ban actually makes it in.
I mean, but think about the junglers here, right? Like, you almost
honestly
are forcing them to, in terms of tier list, like, I think Viego is definitely the next one up, but into Wukong, it's a skirmisher that you're not too much of a fan to really deal with.
True. And it is the Gnar final ban towards Breathe, taking away some of his comfort, but also something that can duel pretty well with the Kennen. Gonna have to see what they want to save counter pick for. This has been one of my favorites here recently. It's the Maokai locked in, so a lot of utility on this champion, but also kind of that frontline knockdown style you can get with the Varus. Insta lock in the Lee Sin for Shun. Bringing it back,
spicy.
baby.
I don't want to say it's spicy. I feel like Rise is not spicy anymore because now we're getting served it every dish. Every day there's a Rise player. It's Doinby, which makes sense. Now Scout's going to be picking up Rise, I think a champion that he has made a lot of great plays on in the past when we're talking about unique mid-mages.
It's so crazy to me that his most played is Azir with 120 games. The next most played is Rise at 67. That's how many more games of Azir he has, but he's still a very proficient Scout. And give Doonby a little bit of a run for his money on that one. LeBlanc locked in for Xiaohu, though, and that's huge.
Yeah, but JDG are just so short-ranged here, and you're looking at a composition where you're going to have to play against Rel, Wukong, Maokai. I think this is a tough ask. I think the things that I'm going to be looking for is Scout on 3 items. He's going to be particularly very difficult to deal with. No longer a one-shottable champion by someone like this LeBlanc. And maybe after 3 items, this Kalista can be a bit of a menace. She's obviously very, very potent as a skirmisher early on. But what I'm going to be looking for is once we get to something like having access to Terminus or a Jock Show, these kinds of things can augment Kalista to be a little more difficult to deal with from the side of JDG.
We get another Xiaohu classic when the split pushing LeBlanc AD LeBlanc build came out. Xiaohu was literally one of the most lethal carries on that pick, and I want to see him use his side laning mastermind to pick this game apart. First seed matters so much going into playoffs. It means double elim, and if they win this series, that's first seed for this group, and it would be Weibo. A lot of pressure on the Lee Sin here for Shun, on the rise for Scout and for JDG as a whole, coming off an entire rebuild, right? Like the only person that's sticking around is missing of all people on this JDG team. And as we hear those Gyos in Beijing roar, it's going to need to be the home field advantage that JDG come to love.
Tense stuff here for both of these teams. Like you were saying, not necessarily an elimination, but the last series they'll be playing here in the group stage. And, I mean, double elim is nice, being able to have access to a second life, especially for, I think, a team like JDG who are on the cusp of being knocked into that second place spot here in the group. Definitely you're going to need that leg up. And for Weibo, they have a really strong composition when it comes to trying to fight early. It's going to be that lethality poke build for Varus. So being able to outrange someone like a Kennen, a Lee Sin, can offer a lot for Weibo. And I think definitely puts them again on a bit of a timer.
And that's the difficult thing, I guess, in this situation. I mean, when we've seen these games either be super one-sided or be extremely back and forth to the end, you wonder what that means in terms of like the style of game number 4 that we're going to get here. I mean, we could see some more reservation come through, but the fact that we are getting this early move from JDG, I kind of like to see them mess with the metrics right now in the game.
This is just what you have to do though, right? Like, you're playing into a lane swap as Kennen. Kennen doesn't have as many resistances as some other champions, and just kind of skip some of the bad laning phase. You'll get back into the lane pretty handily, and making sure that Scout gets push in a matchup where he's definitely going to have to risk some of his resource bar, whether it's his HP or his mana, to be able to push versus LeBlanc. Whereas LeBlanc, she's just looking to try to all in with her distortion, make sure that's hitting the wave at the same time. Also, the change to Q a long time ago did make LeBlanc a little easier being able to farm a mid-wave.
Why didn't, what, at the beginning of time, which was the beginning of League of Legends,
yes,
why didn't we make bot lane duos go mid? Why wasn't that a thing? Just make the bot lane go mid.
No, I don't think I do. We're going to be seeing a dive here. Can Breathe outplay is going to be my question, as they get some damage, but they're just wasting a lot of time. I like what Light's doing in the top side, actually. He's not pushing the wave immediately. He's trying to stack it, get some more damage onto the turret.
All right, they got to execute this one. There is no response from Weibo if they can get the kill here. Nice flash early, but good combo. The turret is not even focusing them. Really nicely juggled by Ala, and they want more potentially? Ala doesn't have much health. Scout is coming. This is a 5-man play on bot side. A TP coming in for Weibo. They need Hung. They got Hung, and they juggled yet again. I thought we were at a circus at this point. Breathe is here now. Xiaohu is here. Maybe it is a circus after all. Should trying to get away. Scout's tanking the turret, and Xiaohu comes in and takes them out. Bodies everywhere. Bodies falling to the floor, but JDG still looking for more.
They're gonna go for it again.
And another one, and another one, and JDG. It's 4-2 early, 3 minutes into this game.
Someone call Emily Rand right now. We got a lane swap where 5 people are under bot tier 1 at 3 minutes, guys. The feat of strengths are already completed for JDG, and these early games have felt rather coherent from them. It's about those mid games that have been a bit questionable, so I want to see JDG, how are they going to leverage this into an early game advantage? Great job from Hung, just trying to reset and kind of ruin some of the tempo of JDG's bottom lane from resetting.
That's just so wild to see. I love that we're getting that kind of movement early. The premonition of that was the actual invade that started off by JDG. Hung just dies to the minions.
It's a fast back. It's a fast back.
Quick back.
It's gonna be the same. It's literally the same timer as him actually just hitting the recall button. So whatever, I get it. Just wants to be able to immediately, instead of having to wait for the channel and then go back to base, he's just back into the fountain that much quicker. Shout out to my perfect player. Hung doing perfectly fine for himself. Yeah, I don't know. Big advantage here for JDG. We're talking about bot lane. We've been kind of checking in on items throughout the series, but 4.5 minutes, finish Berserker Grease here for Kalista. Huge spike.
Gets the extra leap distance, gets all that attack speed. It's real nice early for JDG's bot lane. A guy that's been a little bit quiet these last couple games, I'll just say that. I mean, Scout and Shun taking the mantle in that second game, but after that last game, not really having that same performance. Pays now set up for success on a very, very carry-oriented pick.
And it's been a while, obviously, with the kind of some of the game lengths that we've been getting on, but we set up so early on that for this matchup between some of these players, especially for our bottom laners here, this felt like we needed or wanted to see Pays really step up and make his name against one of, I think, the growing staples of great AD carries here in the LPL. Light, I think, being such a consistent force in so many games. If Pays can show that he's able to kind of rock the 2v2 alongside that, you know, walk the walk as well, I think it bodes very well for JDG's year and kind of gives them some glimmer of hope where we've had to change some of our expectations as the season has gone on already.
Consistency is so key to me in that kind of conversation there as well for Pays. Needing to be consistent for JDG. And speaking of consistency, we're 6 minutes in. That means Grubs is up. That means more fighting. That means more positioning towards this top side. And guess who's here? Tian and Shun.
This could be a window. There's no handshake anymore from Missing. We'll be able to have it in a few seconds here. I thought maybe they were going to be able to look for this, but Shun's just doing a full grub camp here.
Okay, Missing getting a little bit low here. Is burning down. Pays stacking up the rend, walking around. There's the chains of corruption, though. Shun cannot move, gets the bailout. Is it going to be enough money? The bank said no. Missing is going down low, trying to get away, but gets electrocuted there. A lot of damage down, and Weibo come away with a couple kill response.
Light having so much solo experience. I know I noted it during the dive, but he has level 6 before Pays does, and Pays almost finds that kill onto Hung.
Scout with the sidestep. Pays tries to step up too.
Scout?
My God. It's so low. It's so close. Scout wants to step up and help get another grub. All of Weibo back out of that one. And so in the end, JDG are the ones that claim 2 grubs.
Pays is just playing this so well, and I feel bad because the rest of his team is kind of falling to the wayside here. Shun in a very tough spot as this Lee Sin already. I mean, yeah, the fact that Light even had the flash, or the ultimate, we're now missing some summoner spells. We're looking at that flash being gone from Light and from Tian. We'll see if that's going to be a big game changer. He hits level 6 right on that wave, and look at how low Hung gets here. Gets out of vision, the shield from the dismount there being the world of difference between Pays potentially getting a reset and, I mean, the rest of this fight going in their favor. And then the rest of this is just kind of the rest of JDG being able to play, specifically Scout on this rise.
Honestly, I like the look from Light right there. Tried to go with the flash piercing arrow. We're back to live, though, and we're fighting because that's all these teams know how to do. And that's how we live in the LPL. Now, Hung maybe wants to get out of that fight. Does end up burning his flash over the wall.
Oh, wait, Hung could actually just be dead here.
Okay.
If Allah really wants it, he can force the issue. Has the ultimate, could be taking out the support and open up a very free dragon for himself. Is instead going to take the recall, probably teleport to the top lane play, and just catch up on this turret. I mean, JDG, they should be looking to contest for this dragon, but it seems like Missing wants to take a recall, maybe just out of vision. Yeah, he doesn't have any wards in his inventory, so wants to reset before they look for anything more. There.
Still pretty late on the objective stacking in terms of the dragons, especially since nobody has started up and we're only about 2.5 minutes out from the next grub. But that'll be a big fight for both teams. Shun for a little bit of a trade onto Xiaohu, thinks the better of it, but still gets a chunk of his own health taken away. JDG potentially moving around this dragon pit to start this one up preemptively.
I do favor Light and Hung in this position, but ultimates, very big ones, key coming up for JDG. Ala already having the slicing Maelstrom. There's a kick here from Shun, and while our supports are missing, that ultimate from Light definitely makes it way easier for JDG to contest through mid and grab this first dragon.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you swing and you miss. That one was definitely one of those. Xiaohu, oh, his scout tried to predict him. He just doesn't pull the trigger on it. And again, pretty healthy trade from Scout though in that regard. Now you do have that dragon taken, so that'll be another mark on the epic monster objective, at least one mark for JDG, and a minute and 20 for those grubs that we were talking about just a little bit ago.
This was the matchup that Xiaohu opted for. Remember, this is the one where he was looking for. They're going to try to make this dive. Waves gone. The closest person is Shun. Scout.
They go for.
Oh, he walked out!
Yeah, he couldn't make it out, and the chains come for his life. He gets one back.
Okay.
He gets one back on a hung.
And so close there that he's not able to grab, get out of that fight. Probably something we might even see in a replay, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised from our observers here in the LPL as to where exactly some of the small micro, but getting the 1-for-1 is about as good as it's going to get. It's going to at least let Weibo take their recalls, maybe get a little bit more damage. They really want to play for these grubs that are spawning in 30 seconds.
They do, and with the Rod of Ages completed now from Scout, actually a pretty big pickup in that case. And we're going to look at this.
So Realm Warp.
Did he walk out or did he get stunned?
So he's right on the edge of it. No, he doesn't get stunned. He's on the very edge. And also, even if he wasn't, I know that Realm Warp, specifically around the time when we were getting like the Zhonya's Realm Warp tech, if you have your player or your character with the intent of moving out of the circle, it will just treat it as if you do not want to take the Realm Warp. So either way, unfortunate for Scout. Again, he did get the 1v1, and he is still split pushing, has a teleport as well. So with these two grubs, as long as JDG are able to acquire 2 more, this might just be first turret going over to the Rise within a couple of waves.
I think the fact of the matter is, though, that Weibo actually have a really good position with the wards around this grub pit. There is the one from JDG that's giving them a good look into the pit.
Well, this turret's almost dead. Yeah, that's the first. Yeah, they're going to get feats of strength.
That's huge. At the same time, too, as it goes down. You'll take the fight. TP coming in. There's the Nature's Grasp getting used as Hung and Tian in the pit, going to be taking those grubs. The last one will be left to its lonesome and left to JDG's jaws. As 3-3 go the grub count, but that turret is a interesting point to look at as we go early into this.
That turret is literally 1 HP right now, and unfortunately, no one grabbed it. You've got 2 minutes before any of the plates fall. Allah's on the way. Detective Allah, he was doing some split pushing in the last game. He's feeling himself in his Ken and Camille skin. Wants to walk up and right-click that turret.
It's the same champion, right? It's the same champion.
Basically. Just has a lot more movement compared to a regular turret.
He has a Leandry, which is a little bit different. Oh my god, that Wombo combo, the damage? They have so much. The Dragon Rage kick claims the kill. Xiaohu doesn't exist anymore.
I didn't know you got hands like that, bro. Wow, I'm sure Xiaohu didn't know that there was going to be that much DPS. And this was the matchup that Xiaohu specifically wanted, right? Like, we saw the Rise, we go for the R5 on LeBlanc, and this LeBlanc is, for all intents and purposes, going to be jumping straight into the backline and trying to kill this Callista. I mean, Rise is almost level 11 here, Lennon. LeBlanc has not gotten much done in this game. We even saw the early dive. I think that's definitely played a big part in the story of this Game 4. I think we might be going to Game 5. I don't want to curse it quite yet, but Lennon, it's coming.
After last night in the 3, I want as many games as possible before we get into playoffs. Hopefully we'll get that. We'll see if JDG can hold on to this little lead they have, at least so far.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of pressing up into the jungle here by JDG. We did just get item completion by Hayes, and Dragon coming up in less than a minute.
Something we're going to have to see from Weibo if they want to chance back into this game and potentially to close out the series for themselves is how are we going to loop Breathe into all of this? Because he's playing Maokai, he's typically going to have to drop waves before instead of having to push and then move. So we haven't seen him really interact in many of the fights. It's been really around that second grubs where we got the most amount of action, but this Maokai is going to have to put in a lot of work setting up the rest of the team, and I just don't know if his damage dealers are in the best spot to be able to kind of play off of that.
See if they can make their way down that road a little bit later on. A scout getting played on the side here. We'll be on vision. Has his turret and Shun right behind him. Missing, redeploying up towards his top side as well. Dragon is spawning, but neither jungler are down that way. It's top lane fight city as we are moving our ADCs up this way. Hung going for that engage. I mean, Shun is right underneath that hostile takeover. There's the Realm Orb coming in. Scout trying to lock them down with the Realm Prison. Can't get the angle.
He gets both flashes, just pure aura farming on these guys in the river. He does not care. They walked up, they're like, oh, we don't actually want to get rooted. There's the empowered. Good movement speed here.
Wow.
Phase rush plus the movement speed from the
my
overload.
God.
They're going to win this. Allah and Shun are here.
Scout going in. Oh, the insta flash. Allah slicing Maelstrom to end their lives. JDG going to keep trucking forward.
And we haven't talked about it, but this is yet another game where Allah has found a massive lead for himself. 40 CS, great handshake for missing, but you walked into Fog of War instead of underneath your turret. Can Hung find it? No ignite.
Get all that horsey and ride him down. He's got the bailout, but they're going to get
Oh, no!
He gets the last second flash. He's going to die, but it's already too late for missing.
Yeah, and another turret here for Allah, so getting closer to level 11 here for our two solo laners. Big power spike incoming here for JDG in the next coming fights as Weibo feel lost in this game. There's no connection, no cohesion. It feels like a lot of the plays are kind of happening around the map, but we're not tying the rest of the team in as Weibo try to make a play for this mid 2v2. And while I will applaud that Xiaohu and Tian are kind of getting active yet again, they don't have the damage and they don't have the means by which to actually take down Scout in this game.
Yeah, I mean, so far, both the classical Xiaohu picks have been swings and misses, as we were talking about earlier. We see the Dragon's fight setup. This is second Dragon for JDG. It's not that big of a deal. Weibo will give it up.
Is this going to be that game? I'm getting the gut feeling in the pit of my stomach is that this is going to be a game where Weibo feel like they do nothing. This is going to be like the do-nothing burger game where Weibo kind of just sit around, they lose a couple fights, and maybe this game honestly just came down to the level 3, or the 3 minutes in, we had 5 people down bot lane, they invest the teleport, they die again. That might just be where the game ends, and you're like, okay, well, the rest of the game kind of plays out X, Y, and Z. But I really think that Weibo can get back in. They just need to play on item spikes. They need to be a little bit more creative in their flanks, and they need to think about who they're actually targeting. I mean, Scout's almost level 13. He just ticked over to 12. He's almost done with not only Seraphs, but almost Rod of Ages as well. I don't think we're ever fighting this guy.
Yeah, and the problem is Allah can just find such easy access with his angles on the cannon. His Chains of Corruption going to come out, piercing arrow, damage down, pays, one more auto. He is dead. Cleanse from the slow. Light trying to get away from the TP here. He has the rest of his team to come bail him out, and this Varus is starting to do some work. You see Light weaving through these fights as well. Shun going for it, gets the shattering there from Hung as he goes for the crash down. And now Xiaohu with the rest of the damage dealers from Weibo stepping over towards this Dragon side of things, but really it's just mid lane prio that they're all contesting over.
You know, I think the reason why we're maybe seeing success here for JDG is that Lee Sin is Shun's AD mid. You know,
True.
He's got the spear on the Q. Sometimes he misses, sometimes it lands, and he gets to be the all-in threat. As we get a replay as to what was going on in mid here.
This is just Light outplaying him.
Let's see it. Okay, we pressed Yomu's. Outplayed. Yeah, he landed ult. You got, oh, whoa, whoa, hey. Double flash and a cleanse, I think. Maybe not worth. Maybe coming up big time for JDGs. Now they've opened up the mid-tier 1. They're able to grab this. I mean, hey, Eragon spawning in a minute and a half. How much of the map they have?
Realm Warp.
They're just straight up realming out. Oh,
Howdy.
Oh, and they got the teleport from Breathe. Oh, Lennon, it just goes from bad to worse here for Weibo as JDG just run them around the map.
But looking at the symptoms here, I mean, this has been an issue for Weibo in this series in particular. Just even looking at the microcosm of these games that we've seen. Sometimes they feel a little bit lost, a little bit not all synced together, and that's not necessarily what I was expecting from this Weibo roster going into today's series.
they've been pretty decisive in a lot of their games, and while sometimes I think they get a little bit lost, maybe with the pace.
Xiaohu's doing LeBlanc things.
Xiaohu is abusing Chemtech Rift things. Jumps across halfway through the map. Gets a bit of a poke down onto Pays, but again, it's going to get more and more difficult. He's looking to get Rage Blade second, so again, 3 and 4 items for JDG is going to be basically completely lights out. At that point, you just log out and get ready for Game 5. You start mentally preparing for those games. I mean, think about it, right? Items are going to be coming in. We're also going to have dragons here. It's going to be another Chemtech Soul, so healing and shielding, something that Renata is going to be able to dip into. The tenacity as well. I think the tenacity buff, if we even get to that point, going to be really difficult for anybody on Weibo to kind of punch on through that.
And I'm just looking at the kind of comp stock, because coming out of the draft, we were a bit interested in how Weibo were kind of bringing their comp to a fold. I think the Maokai does have a lot of impact, but maybe not in a situation like this. How would you best like to see them try to set up these team fights?
They need to find some kind of flank, and maybe it's some of these wards that are sitting in the bottom side jungle that we do see in JDG's red side, but I mean, Hung needs to be able to find and engage. We still, I don't think, have correctly been able to loop breathe in, and even if we do that, while he's even in experience, this is one poor tree, brother. Like, look at 2,500 gold down versus Kennen. 50 CS, and you will have all the utility in the world, but you do still need to have some kind of front line and some kind of amount of damage. We've seen Light now even itemized for an Edge of Night, so trading some of that damage for some shielding.
And I mean, Light is so monumental in these fights for them. Atacon had already been started up by JDG. It's halfway down. Light is being baited out. Look at Allah. They knew he was there with the wards, and now they try to find the collapse, but the Atacon's already going down, so he just gets GA sent back. Hostile takeover's there. Look at Xiaohu. He's trying to get some damage onto the back line. Nature's Grass coming across, going to stop the Realm Warp there.
And wait a minute.
They're caught. They're in trouble. Nice little knockback. They try to get that Fate's Call, but it's not going to be enough. They get the re-engage here by the Wukong, and now they have damage on the Scout. He's going down. GA's popped, and Weibo find a fight.
Okay, never mind, breathe. Entire game has been redeemed. We've made sure with the ultimate, we somehow tag Scout. We were able to grab Missing, and that'll make sure that they're at least stopping JDG. Maybe Shun has some different plans. Can they make the steal?
He still has the GA. He wants to just fight with his life. Smite fight. It's taken by Breathe. Of all people in that situation, Breathe is the one that claims it for Weibo. But there's a TP. There's a reset fight by Allah, who comes in, has everything available with his flash. Not the slicing Maelstrom, though, but trying to get damage down onto them. Now Xiaohu locked down very low. Can't hit that Shuriken as Shun going around the corner. Still has this GA for another minute and a half here. And they're pushing already. Tier 2 in mid, Tier 2 in bot, under threat by JDG.
Despite losing the Otacon, I think Weibo are able to get a fair few things out of that fight. Specifically, the double teleport from Allah and Scout are going to be feeling nice, but losing 2 turrets on the back end of that, losing some summoner spells, and you try to make that play, not all that perfect here for the side of Weibo. Oh, we're getting a flank. I mean, Breathe, the ultimate's quite back up. Maybe they find Scout and Missing.
He's not got a lot to him, but a little bit of utility goes a long way. They find Missing in the end, who just sacrifices his life, rightfully so.
Man, that movement speed, the phase rush, nothing to play with here for Rise.
Spicy, 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 spicy. Okay.
Top of
Scout out. Scout's in trouble. Xiaohu finds the angle. Magnustorm going to be flashed away from. Scout is out.
It's so tough to kill this Rise. Seraph's completed, has that phase rush, has the completed Rod of Ages. So, Lennon, we're hitting those breakpoints. We talked about it for JDG. 3 items is really, I think, where they start to kind of take over in fights. And you can see what happened here in mid lane. Oh, Tian was chunked very low in mid and almost solo kills Allah. The 2 of them barely get away from kind of passing each other in mid lane.
That was so close. My goodness. Little things like that, though. Allah doing a ton of work. Now has that Banshees as well completed. Xiaohu being a menace of his own on the Scout. A very quiet setup for Scout and Xiaohu so far in game number 4. But some of those scaling factors maybe going to come into effect here, at least for Scout. JDG playing with their lives a little bit, missing takes a chunk of his health just for a little bit of ward clearing. We'll see them move into the top side jungle of Weibo.
I'm going to be looking at where these third items for some of the carries. Also, I will say, Xiaohu is remarkable for this game. Finally gets the Shadow Flame, but looking at Light now, not only as a Light fan myself, but I think keys to the kingdom have to come from this AD carry who, we've talked a lot about it from Paze's perspective, but for someone like Light, it's been a while here on this Weibo roster. I kind of want to see if this guy can kind of kick into that fourth gear and be that clutch player. It's very early on into the season, so maybe that'll be something that develops. But as someone who is so stable, I really want to see him have more of those clutch team fights, especially as we get to see so many different champions from this guy in a fearless setting.
And when we were talking about him earlier, we were talking about kind of he's been working at this for a while, finally getting a little bit of the namesake that he's been working towards. But this guy, if you remember, was on a Snake roster back in the day, right? He was part of that Miracle run on LMG.
Let's get you to bed,
and a big part of that one.
Let's go ahead. We're bringing up Snake here at the end of the game for. All right, guys.
Hey, you talk about my boy Light. There you go. You got the history in there, okay? But we got to see now. We're setting up around this bottom side. There's really, literally nothing to fight for. The Dragon not up for about a minute and a half. But it is JDG just trying to exert dominance on the Rift, and they can. They are 5,000 gold up.
This Paze is just so far ahead right now, in my opinion. Yes, he's down 1,000, but you think about what this champion should be able to accomplish in team fights, especially when we're talking about the follow-up that is there. Have the Renata, I think Allah on this Kennen has had such a big impact, not only in the game, but I think the way that these two teams have leveraged their top laners. Breathe has been, I think, playing more of the map, which feels more of that Weibo style, and JDG have really leaned on Allah to get team fights going or be someone to sit in front.
Yeah. I think it's just hard to find those avenues, especially if you're Weibo, with the lack of funds. You need to find a way. As Finball Winter did get completed just now by Breathe. He's on second item finally. Trees getting a little bit more rich. Big thing though, Miramana completed for Light. So gonna have a ton of damage behind those piercing arrows.
This has to be the moment where we're able to see kind of Light step up. Maybe I think you can kind of delay that till level 16, but as this champion, you're kind of moving away from your ultimate. You really want to try to get those blight stacks. So big ups on him. He'll have the range advantage against any other champion on the map right now, but if he's able to actually connect on into kills, is going to be, I think, the big difference maker if Weibo want a chance in this fourth game.
They definitely want a chance. They want to try to finish this one out with a 3-1 to get themselves into that first seed playoff.
Breathe, brother.
Scout in trouble. Can't stop the Realm Warp this time.
Damn.
Scout isn't going to step out.
So many crowd control abilities used by Breathe. Scout's going to say, look, I've brought another minion waves that suspiciously looks like the old one that I teleported away.
He almost just kills him.
Yeah, he's got so much damage on this Rise. Level 16 now, so increased amount of passive damage from the Overload. This is going to have to be a Scout Rise game now from here on out.
And it's good to see. I think in a lot of ways you can put a lot of pressure on Scout and some of the performances we've seen from him. Speaking of Paze, getting a little caught there. Not going to die to Xiaohu, which actually is a big testament to how strong Paze is. But this kind of Scout carry mantra has always been the namesake of this guy, and I would say that, you know, wanting to see that more consistently is a big ask we've had of it.
And even in this series, like if you just take this series agnostic of any other results from the group, this has been a characteristically bad series for Scout, all things considered. When we're talking about the Orianna hold, and I think we have to hold players like this to a higher standard when you talk about the international appearances, the fact that he is a world champion, right? Like,
yeah.
There's a certain level that comes with that level of play, so maybe they make this play onto Breathe. I mean, yeah, he has ultimate, he can definitely make this turn, and Xiaohu's nowhere near this fight. This is going to be a small window here where JDG can try to leverage jockey for position over mid lane.
As Linda would say, but know that always Scout can carry. We'll see if he can do so here. As now he is trying to find an angle over on the other side. Chunked, man. Xiaohu's actually doing a decent amount of damage now. He's even getting closer and closer to 3-item spike territory. Baron is up. Nice piercing arrows coming through. JDG, I don't think they necessarily want this poke war, but they want it all in, and that's what they're going to get. Xiaohu's in a lot of turn here. He does end up getting away. Xun looking for the angle onto him, but Breathe going to pop the Nature's Grasp, trying to get everybody to safety. Hong will make it away. Xiaohu makes it away, but Baron is on the table like a silver platter for JDG.
You've got Ryze, you've got Kalista. Why not go for this play? Xiaohu's recalling and should be able to TP to the top lane. This could be the fight deep that opens up. We need to see how they're marking Allah. And we didn't talk about this, but there's no exhaust.
Hostile takeover. They actually catch him out. They get a ton of damage onto the clone, but it was just the clone. Pays low, but Breathe is lower. Xiaohu looking for the angle on the Pays.
No!
Xiaohu can't find it. Slicing Maelstrom onto 2, and Allah just 1v2s the backline of Weibo. What the hell was that? And can I get some more, please? JDG are running down Weibo, and I hear those sweet, sweet silver scrapes.
We're going to game 5 here. JDG, they wanted to play. They said, look, us going to game 5, that's just going to have to be a normal situation for us here. They really want to get the games under their belt here for the early part of LPL in 2025. Instead of ending the game, they're going to move over to the Baron. That feels like the last nail in the coffin here for Weibo.
Dude, Allah is tired of hearing people talk smack on his name. He's tired of listening to all the haters. Man is pulling up a performance of a lifetime. I mean, that was a heck of a play. I better see that in the top plays of the week for the LPL, because that was wild.
Yeah, I like the beginning of this, right? I mean, Xiaohu has been a great proponent of being able to actually deal damage and kind of pick off fights, but look where the damage dealers are. They feel lost. Weibo on 2 fronts trying to make 2 different kind of plays happen, get their mid lane to reconnect with the play, and Allah on this cannon, the very edge of the slicing Maelstrom in that blue buff pit, grabs them the kill. Weibo just no longer in position, and now we come back to live. Baron has already been taken. There's a dragon that's spawning in 45, but I want to see JDG take this Baron and push it down onto Weibo, open up this map, and take over the game.
Okay, they've actually catched down onto Tian. He uses the approved plateau, but obliterated in the sky as now Light gets chased down by Xun. The Dragon Rage kick into the back, into the combo, and the hostile takeover has truly taken over this game. Weibo are completely dusted. TP's not available, but they'll walk all the way down that mid lane. And JDG, they might be scrappy. They might not always have it all together, but they'll find a way to push us to 5.
Baron, and I can't believe it. We have our second full best of 5 here, thanks to our Fearless system and the early best of 5 series. I can't believe it, man. Weibo and JDG delivering in the match of the week.
So deserved of the title. We knew it was going to be a fun one. We knew that Group B was going to end with a banger. This is the Group B matchup that we've been waiting for this entire early part of the split, and we get this best of 5 going all the way. That means so many champions off the table. The ADC pool obliterated. The jungle pool obliterated. We're going to have to see some spicy picks come out of that game 5, and I couldn't be more excited. The fact that it's been everybody showing up in different moments for both teams has been so fun to watch.
All I'm hearing is Sejuani Yone.
Sejuani
Yone. I'm actually, you know, surprisingly enough, I know we were kind of joking earlier about the Skarner being 100% ban presence. I thought Tian's Ivern last year was actually pretty good. I would think that this is a champion that he would want to kind of opt into, especially if that has been, I think, the most popular counter up against Skarner, but I guess probe teams just really don't want to have to deal with the Impale. That's fair.
I guess not. Oh, man. What a game. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, we are just so giddy that we get to see these kinds of moments, that we get to see these players go up against each other like this. But the fact that we're getting kind of the different show-ups of a bunch of different players, we had so many different focuses going into this one, try to find the right one to hone in on. But, my goodness, has this been one to deliver on. Now, I will say that I think Game 5 is going to be even crazier. I hope we get some crazy picks. I really hope the desk gets to break down a little bit of what they expect with all of these bans in the Fearless Best of 5 being taken away. This is why we do Fearless, and it's going to be super, super awesome. I think they're